A very good evening and welcome to Primetime News on TV1. I'm Michaela Fernando, and joining us via Zoom is sign language interpreter Brian De Cruz. Before we head into more news in detail, here are a look at your headlines for tonight.
News First headlines. Main sponsor.
Valuable Finance, best finance company.
KDK, the leader in indoor air quality. KDK, the reliable fan.
Two sublineages of the Omicron variant spreading rapidly in Sri Lanka. COVID-19 infections on the rise. Warnings of power cuts from tomorrow. Hydro power generation drops. Government offers incentive to farmers to cultivate green gram. Farmers who used organic fertilizer lament over lost harvests. German Navy chief accuses China of giving money to dictators and killers as long as they give rights over their country's resources. Opposition leader comments on government's vistas of prosperity policy. Venerable Damara Bilatero outlines criteria for electing a new leader. Tensions at the Midigama police station after suspect's arrest.
News First headlines. Main sponsor.
Valuable Finance, best finance company.
KDK, the leader in indoor air quality. KDK, the reliable fan.
Taking a look at your top story, the Omicron variant has been now the fastest spreading COVID-19 variant in Sri Lanka. When News First made inquiries from the Allergy, Immunology and Cell Biology unit of the Sri Jayawardhanapura University, they said that two sublineages of the Omicron variant are spreading in Sri Lanka at present.
This was confirmed when the Allergy, Immunology and Cell Biology Unit of the Department of Immunology and Molecular Medicine at the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura tested 78 samples for COVID-19 and 75 contained the Omicron variant. The head of the Department of Immunology and Molecular Medicine at the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, Professor Chandima Jeevandara, said that only 3 samples out of the 78 contain the Delta variant of the virus. These samples have been obtained in the first 3 weeks of this month. The Omicron BA.1 sublineage has been reported from Colombo, Avissawella, Poralaskama, Homagama, Katugoda, Kosgama, Madapatha, Padukka, Parakaduwa and Vellampitiya. The Omicron BA.2 sublineage has been reported from Avissawella, Padulla, Colombo, Galle, Kolonava, Mount Lavinia and Nugegoda.
Health authorities say that 845 COVID-19 infections were reported yesterday. 5,391 cases have been detected in the last week. Official figures indicate that 15 COVID-19 deaths were confirmed yesterday. Meanwhile, 87 people have died of COVID-19 in the last week. In more local news, the power crisis is aggravating in the country at present, raising concerns of possible power cuts in the future. The CEB Engineers Union is warning that power cuts would be imposed in 4 stages from tomorrow.
If the fuel shortage continues to exist, we will have to impose power cuts for about an hour tomorrow. By Tuesday, we will have to impose power cuts for 2 hours. The power cuts are more likely between 6:30 and 9:30. The power cuts will be imposed in 4 stages, but we haven't finalized that yet. We will have to impose power cuts for almost 2 hours from Tuesday. By tomorrow, we would be able to access the power cut schedule.
Do power plants have sufficient fuel?
The Kandra power plant that generates 110 megawatts of power has run out of fuel. Trade unions point out that the power plant in Battala will run out of fuel in less than 24 hours. The Yugadanavi power plant has fuel for about 10 days.
What are the comments expressed by the Energy Minister?
Energy Minister Udaya Gamampila says power plants are running out of fuel due to a miscalculation by the Ceylon Electricity Board. He added that the Ceylon Electricity Board had requested the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation for fuel for 10 days. The minister said the fuel had been supplied to the Ceylon Electricity Board last week as agreed during a meeting with the President. Minister Udaya Gamampila noted that a tanker carrying 37,500 metric tons of diesel has reached Sri Lanka. He noted that the fuel can be supplied to the Ceylon Electricity Board to unload the diesel consignment if payments are made in dollars.
What are the comments of the Minister of Power?
Minister of Power Gamini Lokuge said the Ceylon Electricity Board is managing its fuel stocks appropriately. He said there would be no need to impose power cuts from Tuesday due to this reason. While the Ministers of Power and Energy are expressing contradictory views, trade unions are of a different stance.
The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation is the sole supplier of fuel when it's required. That is why they have storage tanks. Who emptied these tanks? A commission must be appointed to investigate the entire process of importing fuel, closing the refinery, storing fuel and the distribution of fuel. More power cuts will have to be imposed during the first week of February, even if the 300 megawatt Norotsole power plant is restored. Will we be in darkness if we had naphtha or furnace oil?
Minister of Power Gamini Lokuge said that the cabinet will discuss the need to switch off street lights and reduce unnecessary power consumption at state institutions when it meets tomorrow. The power crisis in Sri Lanka is aggravating at a time when hydropower generation is dropping. Water levels in reservoirs are declining rapidly at present. Sluice gates of the reservoirs were opened in November and December last year. However, this is the situation at the Victoria Reservoir.
Why are water levels of reservoirs decreasing?
Water levels reduced during March, April or May. However, the Victoria Reservoir should have considerable water levels as there were rains in the recent months. We had to release more water as farmers engaged in organic farming. The other reason for water levels to drop is because it was released to generate hydropower.
Will the drop in water levels of reservoirs aggravate the power crisis?
The water levels of reservoirs will reduce in another 2 or 3 months. The generation of hydropower stands at around 25%. About 3 or 4 years ago, it was 37%. That has dropped to 25%. We will have to face power cuts for 5 or 6 hours. Therefore, we need to manage the water resources carefully.
While water levels of reservoirs are dropping, dangers of a drinking water crisis are rising due to the dry weather. The National Water Supply and Drainage Board Assistant General Manager Ekanayaka Veerasinghe said water must be used carefully to avert a crisis. He stressed that water must be used only for essential needs. The Prabuddha Lanka organization expressed the following views on the power crisis in the country at a press briefing today.
Today we are in a country which is facing a massive power crisis without electricity, gas and fuel. We can't run a factory without electricity, fuel and gas. Therefore, we need dollars. The country needs leaders that can attract dollars. China continues to influence us. China can lay claim to the country by weakening the economy. We are a nation that ate coconut sambal and rice with dignity. We had water and food. Today, we are facing a food shortage because of a bad and foolish policy decision made last year. We are suspicious whether all of this is planned by China. China is looking for leaders without personalities that will dance to their music. Very soon, we will reach that position.
The former German Navy chief has said that China is giving money to dictators and killers so long as they give rights over their country's resources. He had expressed these strong comments during an event in India. During the event, the former German Navy Chief Vice Admiral Schoonbach had said that Russian President Vladimir Putin wants high-level respect. He had said that it is easy to give him that as countries need Russia against China. These remarks expressed by the Navy Chief had stirred controversy, eventually leading to his resignation. A comprehensive update on the tensions between Russia and Ukraine will follow on our international segment tonight. More news follows after this short commercial break. Stay tuned.
News First. Main sponsor.
Consult a psychiatrist on the ODOC app from the privacy of your home. Sun All-Purpose Disinfectant Spray. Invest in your health today on ODOC, and in return, you will live a happier, healthier life. We will also be gifting you with free delivery on Uber Eats once you consult and order your medication on ODOC.
Valuable Finance, best finance company.
Put your health first with family doctors, pediatricians, psychiatrists, cardiologists, and more specialist doctors on the ODOC app. We will also be gifting you with free delivery on Uber Eats once you consult and order your meds on ODOC.
In more local news, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says support will be rendered to farmers to cultivate green gram. Farmers whose lands have become barren will be encouraged to cultivate green gram as an additional crop during mid-season. The President's Media Division said that this decision was reached in consideration of the observations made at the Agriculture Development Authority during a recent inspection visit. Adding further, the President's Media Division said the farmers who could not continue their cultivations during the Maha season owing to lackluster irrigation facilities will be provided financial aid to purchase green gram. The President's Media Division said that the President has instructed the Ministry of Agriculture to take these measures.
Farmers in the eastern province claim they haven't been able to reap a good harvest this season. They say the usage of organic fertilizer in paddy fields, such as the ones in Miankal in Batiklo, has not been successful. Farmers say their crops are yellow despite applying fertilizer on more than 1,200 acres of land. It has been 3 months, but paddy hasn't grown well. How can we survive? What will we eat? It is said that rice is being imported. Urea is being used in those countries. This problem wouldn't have emerged if urea was given to us. We worked hard while our children were out in the sun. How will we feed our children? There is no one to help us. The government must quit if they can't run the country. Last year we were able to collect 30 to 40 sacks of paddy from an acre. Not a single bag was there to be collected this year. While farmers who used urea have been able to reap a good harvest, this is the situation in paddy fields in Raja Elakantale. The tea industry doesn't have fertilizer. Paddy farmers don't have fertilizer. Farmers who weren't slaves of anyone and who used to live strongly on this land were destroyed by the government. For the hundreds of thousands of farmers in this country, the Samagi Jana Balawege wishes to say that we will remain committed to introduce the fertilizer subsidy scheme in this country. When the Agriculture Minister is asked whether farmers who lost their harvest would be compensated, he lists out several conditions. But they don't impose conditions like that to foreign companies. They have betrayed this country. They have auctioned off the religion, culture and prosperity in this nation. The vistas of prosperity policy has transformed the country into a land of auction. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa expressed these views during an event to declare open the Samagi Jana Balawege's office in Deniyaya. MP Buddhika Patirana was also present at the event.
Several sectors, including agriculture, have been affected and the country's economy is facing a massive crisis. Economists say that the economic crisis has resulted in adverse consequences to the country. This includes power cuts, the queues for gas and also the shortage of chemical fertilizer and milk powder. The All Ceylon Masons Association staged a protest in Hikkaduwa today.
Masons are the innocent and poor people in this country. Those who engage in manual labor and painters are in trouble at present. Cement isn't available at hardware stores.
Issues have arisen relating to employment as well.
The current economic situation, the closure of factories and the loss of jobs have not been caused only because of the COVID-19 pandemic. It is also caused due to the failure to make decisions under a stable economic policy. At the same time, it is also the result of the fraud and corruption and the wastage of money as well. The laws in our country haven't been formulated in a way that attract investors. We can overcome these issues only by attracting investments.
Government and opposition MPs expressed the following comments on the economic situation of the country.
As soon as the government came into power, relief was given over value-added taxes to the rich people in the country. This cost us 500 to 600 billion rupees in revenue. On one hand, essential food was not available. Children don't have milk powder. There was a massive medicine shortage. Medicine was not available in the market. The contribution of the construction sector to the GDP fell by 7.2%. Hundreds of thousands of farming families fell into poverty. At a time when countries are failing for the past 2 years with COVID-19, the only government that brought a nation to the pinnacle of development for the first time in history and politics was the one headed by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. As a party affiliated with the government, we have discussed every problem in depth. We have spoken personally to them. We have even provided our stance in writing. As the parliamentary group, all of us have met and discussed with those responsible, whether it is the economic crisis, power crisis, fertilizer crisis, teachers' issues or problems in the agricultural sector. We have given our ideas and proposals to the government. Unfortunately, they don't implement our ideas. That is the problem.
A special dialogue highlighting the solutions for the social, economic and political crisis prevailing in the country was held in Colombo last evening. The dialogue, titled Madahat Mawata, saw the participation of the Mahasangha, representatives of political parties, civil activists, intellectuals and opposition leaders Sajid Premadasa.
Power is like public property. It is something that gathers momentum and formulates. Today, we are in need of a political movement that is capable of opposing this misutilization of power. Democracy is a level playing field where our selflessness and prejudice could be discussed in public. But the democracy we see today is not the ideal one. We all know that. But we cannot overthrow democracy. So what is our alternative? It is certainly not a dictatorship. Democracy gives you the liberty to enter a level playing field. Therefore, the corrupt, the honest, the good, the bad, the literate and the illiterate are all similar players in this political playing field. Democratic politics have been challenged at present. Sri Lanka has faced an unprecedented economic crisis at present. This crisis has reached its climax. This crisis cannot be resolved in a matter of days or even a matter of months. That's an illusion by the ruling party. The issue is deeper than what can be seen on top of the iceberg. We have to adjust ourselves to view this problem from a different angle than in which we have viewed it in the past. We must adjust the way we operate. We must move forward in a due direction. I strongly believe that what we should be focusing on is not the next election, but we should focus on the next generation instead.
We are facing an economic crisis at present. We live in a country where policy decisions are being taken without any financial discipline. The younger generation, who has some expertise on these matters, are in an indecisive state at the moment. As we speak, most of the youth in the country are contemplating when to leave Sri Lanka. Our civil societies are being shattered to pieces. This pressure was felt by everyone in the recent past due to the actions taken by the governing faction of this country. But I think this is the best opportunity we have as the young generation, as women, to stand up against that pressure.
ඒ ඛණ්ඩනයට අභියෝග කරන්නට මං හිතනවා කාන්තාවක් විදිහට තරුණියක් විදිහට මේ අපිට ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ හොඳම හොඳ අවස්ථාවක්.
මේ දවස්වල ඕගොල්ලෝ හොඳට බලනවා නම් පේනවා මිනිස්සු.
If you have been observing, you might have been able to figure out who has the idea and who has the skill to implement that idea. If you want quick solutions, you will need friends. Then being friends with India and China only won't be enough. Then we will have to approach other countries in the world and restart the deals we once had. Those countries need to accept us if we are to solve these issues. Then our rulers have to be people who protect the democracy of the country. The rulers will have to introduce an export theory to the young people. They need to tell the younger generation not to leave the country and come up with new innovations in the country. There will be a massive ICT-based market in the future. The younger generation of our country would be ideal candidates for that. The rulers of this country have to instill faith in their hearts. It is a challenge. The youth of this country are despising this government. That is why they are trying to leave the country. Our challenge at hand is to come up with ways to prevent that.
ඒසා උන්ට ආකර්ෂණය වෙන විදිහට විශ්වාසයක් ඇති වෙන විදිහට කියන්න. බොරු කරලා රවට්ටලා තියෙන සමාජයකට ලේසි නෑ විශ්වාසය ඇති වෙන විදිහට කියන්නේ. ඒක තමයි චැලෙන්ජ් එක තියෙන්නේ. ඒක රට යන්න හදන තොපි ඔක්කොම එකයි කියන්නේ. ඒ හින්දා ඒක කොහොමද අපි නවත්ත ගන්න කියන අභියෝගය අපිට තියෙනවා. අද මේ හැමෝම කතා කරන දෙයක් තමයි මේ COVID.
There has been an increase in foreign reserves in countries like Bangladesh and India. Foreign investments in India has seen an increase of 200 billion. Bangladesh has seen an increase of 20 billion. However, the 1.5 billion investment we had has reduced to 400 million. What is happening to our country? No investor would come to Sri Lanka if we don't have rule of law, justice and a strong judiciary. The 43rd Brigade held its national convention today. The Goda Emu Goda Nagamu policy statement was unveiled at the convention today.
අද ලංකාවේ විදේශ ණය ප්‍රමාණය ලංකා ආණ්ඩුව සහ ශ්‍රී ලංකා මහ බැංකුව හොබවන විදේශ ණය ප්‍රමාණය පමණක් ඩොලර් බිලියන 38.5යි.
The total debt owned by the Sri Lankan government and the Central Bank of Sri Lanka amounts to $38.5 billion. I recall that in 2016, a report called the Global Financial Integrity Report was published. The report showed that $19 billion had flown out from the country illegally between 2004 to 2014. Where are these funds? Are they at San Marino or are they at the Golden Triangle in Cambodia? Are these funds in Dubai or in Ukraine's capital of Kyiv or Virgin Islands? We should remember that the company involved in the construction of the expressway from Kadawatha to Mirigama has revealed details of a large-scale fraud involved in the project. International banks are not willing to accept letters of credit offered by the Bank of Ceylon and People's Bank, which are two main banks in Sri Lanka. That is why there is a fuel crisis, coal power plant crisis, power crisis and a gas crisis. We don't know whether the leaders who fly on private jets to foreign countries to engage in religious rituals using milk understand the pain of the children who cry without milk powder. All of us admit that our country needs investments. However, it must take place under a transparent procurement process. According to the agreement signed with the NFE company in the US, that company should have brought in $187 million to the country by the 31st of December. But they haven't brought in a single cent. The dollar shortage wasn't created by the fertilizer crisis. They brought a proposal to the cabinet stating that $400 million can be saved by halting fertilizer imports and that fuel can be saved by increasing prices by 10%. The then Finance Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa himself submitted cabinet papers on this. They implemented these cabinet papers. $500 million was paid in March last year over the Airbus deal involving Sri Lankan Airlines. That is why they didn't have money to import fertilizer in April. That's the truth.
Airbus ගණදෙනුවේ ගණදෙනු පියවීම සඳහා 500ක් පසුගිය මාර්තු මාසේ ලබා දුන්නා. ඒ නිසා අප්‍රේල් මාසේ පෝරගෙන සල්ලි නැති වුණා. ඕක තමයි ඇත්ත කතාව.
Bitcoin, along with other digital cryptocurrencies, crashed to its lowest level yesterday. The continuing meltdown has wiped out over $1 trillion from the global crypto market value. The value of Bitcoin, considered to be the largest digital currency, crashed to its lowest level yesterday. Bitcoin's value had dropped to $38,500 by Friday and then to $35,000 yesterday. It was trading at roughly $69,000 in November 2021. Other digital currencies, including Ethereum, Finance Coin and Cardano, also witnessed similar meltdowns. Foreign media reported that there may be three reasons causing the value of cryptocurrency to drop. Reports suggest the drop may have been caused after the market witnessed one of the highest ever single-day liquidations, Russia's ban on cryptocurrency, and the losses in USA's stock market. Former Central Bank Deputy Governor Dr. W.A. Vijayawardena has tweeted that Sri Lankan youth are increasingly trading cryptocurrency by circumventing CBSL regulations. The central bank is advised against investing in digital currencies due to the risks it poses to the users and the economy. More headline-making news follows after this short commercial break.
Is it 2 a.m. and your baby won't stop crying? You can speak to your pediatrician online on ODOC, even if it's in the middle of the night. They are available 24/7, so you and your baby can cuddle more and cry less. Consult on ODOC today.
In more news here at home, the Presidential Task Force on One Country, One Law obtained the opinion of the people in the southern province today.
The Registrar of the Mathura District's Shasana Rakshaka Balamanjalaya, Venerable Paraduwa Jinaratna Thero, had pointed out that there were differences in implementing the law in the country. He had pointed out that the law must be implemented equally among everyone. The President's Media Division said a group, including the clergy, had submitted their proposals in writing to the task force.
A tense situation arose at the Midigama police station today. Relatives of a suspect accused of involvement in a shooting had raised their objection at the police station over the steps taken to arrest him. They accused the police of remanding the suspect over charges of possessing a hand grenade.
Police officers from Waligama, Mathura and Kanake and special task force officers took steps to bring the situation under control. Police Inspector D.M. Abesekara was among the officers who arrived at the location.
It doesn't matter if they hand him over to the Waligama or Mathura police stations. Why did they place a hand grenade in his possession? We don't have to file a complaint. You know that it wasn't actually with him. Investigations must be carried out at the location of the murder, but the investigations were carried out at our place.
Senior Police Superintendent of Mathura arrived at the location afterwards. He is linked to a murder. That is why he was arrested. We have found out certain details. Our correspondent reported that two people were taken to Mathura Police Superintendent's office to file a complaint regarding the arrest. News First made inquiries from the police spokesperson on the accusations levelled by the relatives against the Midigama police. He said the hand grenade was found at the suspect's house after recording a statement from him.
No suspects have been arrested over the attack on a female student in the Advanced Technological Institute in Galle on Friday. The injured student is receiving treatment at the Karapiti Teaching Hospital. The student's father, who is a police inspector in Monuragala, made a revelation today.
My
daughter is studying electrical engineering at the Advanced Technological Institute in Gaul. A student in the same village had threatened her, asking to accept his proposal. 7 complaints have been filed over this. He has sent SMS messages threatening to kill her. I have recordings of the death threats made through telephone calls. This situation wouldn't have occurred if the police officers in Tanamalvila had enforced the law properly. If the police officers are acting in this manner, although I am a police officer, I wish to question what hopes the ordinary people can have on the security and protection that the police can offer. A jailer, sergeant and a prison warden have been removed from duty over the death of an inmate at the Kandrugas open prison.
පසුගිය දිනක මෙම සිරකරුගේ තියනිය විසින් මාධ්‍යයට හෙළි කරා බන්ධනාගාර නිලධාරීන් විසින්.
Speaking to the media recently, the daughter of the inmate who died had revealed that prison officers had solicited bribes from her and that they had contacted her even through video calls. Accordingly, the assistant superintendent of intelligence was appointed to investigate these incidents. He had launched this investigation and recorded statements. When recording statements, the daughter, who is the complainant, provided her statement today at the Agunakola Palasa prison to the officer who carried out investigations. The prisons department had removed a jailer, a sergeant and a prison warden, citing that the statements of the complainant could obstruct the prison investigations. Lalit Chaminda Hettige was sentenced to 4 years by the Mathura Magistrates Court on the 8th of March 2021 on 2 charges of breaking into a house and stealing 10,000 rupees. He was remanded at the Mathura prison on the 9th of August and was moved to the Kandruga Siaya prison. He had died recently under suspicious circumstances.
The famous dwarf elephant in Sri Lanka, fondly named Walawekota, is reported to have gone missing for more than a year.
The dwarf elephant was first spotted at the Udawalawe National Park in 2013. The elephant had grown in size despite having short legs due to a genetic mutation. The elephant, dubbed Walawekota, was believed to be the only dwarf elephant in the country. However, that belief was dismissed after a female dwarf elephant was spotted in 2018. Researchers believe that both dwarf elephants use the same route to travel. However, there has been no information recently on the whereabouts of these elephants. Usually, Walawekota can be seen at the Udawalawe National Park near the borders for tourists between March and July. The elephant then travels to the Lunugambehera Park through the Watahirakanda Elephant Pass before heading to Megahajadra. The elephant has not been seen since the end of 2020. We are suspecting whether the elephant faced any problems in its travelling route. There are several other issues like that. The elephant has scars on its leg similar to gunshot wounds. Elephants are migratory animals. We hope that we will be able to spot this animal this year. It is not like an ordinary animal. We have not received reports stating that the animal is in trouble. Is the change in the migratory route the only reason for the elephant's disappearance? Suspicious incidents reported near the Udawalawe National Park recently have raised concerns over the disappearance of the elephant, which has been missing in the public eye for more than a year. On the 10th of November last year, an elephant calf was found tied to trees at the Udawalawe National Park. Although the elephant calf was freed, it was suspected that a GPS collar found nearby belonged to another elephant. That is because the elephant calf, identified as Kalana, had been released by the Udawalawe Elephant Transit Home and did not have a collar. Isn't it the responsibility of officials to inquire into the whereabouts of these elephants instead of waiting for them to emerge as usual in March? News First will maintain a close watch on this story.
The World Bank says it is working on building more resilient government systems through digital technology in Sri Lanka. In a blog, the World Bank said it is supporting the Informational and Communication Technology Agency to provide digital tools to government agencies. This would be to build resilience by enhancing the government network and delivering public services remotely. The World Bank noted that ICTA is enhancing the capacity of the government cloud infrastructure called LGC 2.0 with a disaster recovery site. This would be to ensure that critical data is not lost in times of exogenous shocks, including natural disasters such as flooding and and cyclones. According to ICTA, the LGC 2.0 cloud server will connect and store data of 3,500 government organizations during the next 3 years. The World Bank said ICTA is planning to roll out a digital forms.gov.lk solution for people and businesses to submit documents to obtain services digitally.
More than 100,000 Russian troops are now on the Ukrainian border, and Russia has denied any attempt to invade Ukraine. However, their military presence has angered several countries, including the UK. The UK Foreign Minister has leveled serious allegations against the Russian president.
The UK Foreign Ministry has accused the Russian President Vladimir Putin of plotting to install a pro-Russian leader to lead Ukraine's government. In a statement, it said, quote, former Ukrainian MP Yevhen Murayev is being considered as a potential candidate. The statement added that Russian intelligence services are maintaining links with several former Ukrainian politicians. This includes former Prime Minister Mykola Azarov. The UK Foreign Ministry said these politicians are in contact with Russian intelligence officers currently involved in the planning for an attack on Ukraine. It stressed that Ukraine is an independent, sovereign country. Diplomatic sources cite that British Foreign Minister Liz Truss is expected to visit Moscow in February for talks with her Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov.
Germany is one of the countries that are opposing any attempt of Russia to invade Ukraine. Now, the head of the German Navy found himself in trouble as he said that there is no possibility of Russia to invade Ukraine. This has led to his resignation.
The head of the German Navy has resigned over controversial comments he made over Ukraine. Schoonbach had said the idea that Russia wanted to invade Ukraine was nonsense and that the Russian president only wanted respect. Today, he had said that he had resigned from his role with immediate effect in order to avert further damage. Russia has denied claims that it is intending to invade Ukraine, although there are an estimated 100,000 Russian troops amassed on the border. And that is a wrap of Primetime News. For all these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsfirst.lk. Take care and good night.